if we had a glowing orb inside us that had the potential to solve some of the world's biggest problems? Now, what if I told you that you could activate that orb by being a little bit playful? Now, I first discovered the power of play many years ago when I was working as a superhero in a children's hospital. This is me. Now, my job was to create positive distraction in some fairly high-stakes hospital environments, including palliative care. After bringing joy to one very sick, very young boy one morning, he asked if he could have a hug. Now, the hospital has really strict infection protocol, and there was no way I could hug this little guy. But imagine if I turned around and just said, "Oh, sorry, buddy, no can do." There was no explanation or reasoning that I could give him that wasn't going to hurt his feelings. So I had to come up with a playful excuse, and I had to come up with one quickly. So I put up my hand and I said, "Oh, but did you know it's International High Five Day?" He said, "What? What's that?" I said, "You don't know about International High Five Day?" I said, "I have to high five you, and then you have to go into the world and high five 5 more people, and then they have to high five another 5 people, and so on and so on. And by the end of the day, the entire world is high fiving each other." None of which was true. But I watched as this young boy left the superhero room with a profound happiness and this newly found global mission. And I thought to myself, well, what if that were true? What if we could connect the world through play? So I made it my global mission to find out. Now, I'm a playful experience designer. I go into organisations and I teach businesses how to use play to make healthy, happy businesses. I teach adults how to use play to connect and communicate. So it'd be pretty remiss of me to stand here and talk about connecting through play when we're all a bunch of strangers. So let's change that really quickly through play. Few scared faces in the audience. We're just going to have one quick game of rock, paper, scissors. Me versus all of you. Yeah. Now, I'm not going to teach you the rules. I will assume that you know them, but I am going to ask you to place your right hand flat and place your fist on your left hand, or your left hand on a fist. And I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, throw, and at which point I'd like you to choose either paper, scissors, or rock. Are you ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, throw. Great. Hands up if you beat me. Hands up if I beat you. Hands up if we tied. All right, fantastic. Now, you may say that that is just a frivolous activity. Yes, sure. But I can tell you there's a gentleman over here who detests audience interaction, and he grimaced as soon as I said the word play. There's a lovely woman over here who had a ball. In fact, she poked her tongue out at the end when she beat me and had a whale of a time. And there's someone over here who has a bit of a decision problem because they couldn't quite work out whether it was going to be rock or scissors or paper. You see, this is the glorious thing about play. It tells us so much about each other. It was Plato who said, "You can discover more about a person in an hour of play than you can in a year of conversation." But so often, we relegate play to a childlike behaviour. And when the going gets tough or rough or complex, we stop playing. But perhaps by doing that, we aren't utilising one of the biggest tools our brain has been given. You see, we're born to play. Jaak Panksepp, a neurologist, discovered that we are only born with 7 primal emotional systems, and play is one of them. It means that it has an evolutionary purpose. It's pre-conscious, it's pre-verbal. We all know how to do it. And it creates this incredibly innovative space and a safe space to test things. We see this. We see this with animals when they test out what's possible in the realms of foraging or fighting or relationships. Play floods our brain with oxytocin and serotonin, natural chemicals and hormones in the brain that make us feel good. And it regulates our stress response. And it shows us how to understand our place in the world and connects us on a really deep level. So much so that same day that I'd high-fived my young lad in the hospital, at lunchtime, I went to the cafeteria to get this ordinary made sandwich off the grumpiest woman I've ever met. If anyone needed to play, this woman did, because she was incredibly grumpy. And as I handed over my soggy sandwich, she held up a hand and she smiled. She actually smiled. Now, I hadn't seen this woman smile in 5 years. And she said, and you guessed it, "It's International High Five Day. I've got to high five you and you've got to take it out and high five 5 other people and then the world will be high fiving." I couldn't believe it. The message had gone right around the hospital. People were high fiving each other everywhere. But see, this is the glory of play. It connects us on a truly deep human level. And that is what the world needs right now. So imagine with me, if you will, a world where we play our way to create a testing ground for climate change, where businesses have play mandates to combat our mental health crisis, where the world gets together more than once every 4 years for the Olympics, where we have global play summits, where we giant Jenga or go fish our way through some of our most complex issues. Now, I can hear you thinking, "Oh, but Trudi, you can't play in serious situations." Well, why not? Is that just our social conditioning? There have been some remarkable things that have been happening in the world, some remarkable playful activations. In Bogota, they launched this playful activation to bring home guerrilla soldiers. At Christmas time, they took 7,000 glowing orbs and they filled them with memorabilia and messages from people's families, and they floated them down the river to the soldiers. Once received, 194 soldiers put down their weapons and came home to their families. The World Health Organization has just endorsed social prescribing, and that's to combat our loneliness and our overall well-being. Now, social prescribing means that your doctor can prescribe for you playing ping pong with your friends twice a week, or going to that art class that you really want to go to. And this is to combat our overall health and well-being. Even in the most extreme circumstances, play can be incorporated. I'm currently doing a project with terminally ill patients, using play to understand their experiences through workshops and applied improvisation, collecting data to help inform and educate those who are going to have a future path along the same lines. And despite everybody telling me that you cannot combine death and play, I am. And it is working remarkably. Even terminally ill people know how to be playful. And why? Because it's such a deep primal connector in us. But we always consider it a leisure activity. Well, it's time to change that. Imagine if our global politicians and our leaders got together to pledge their way, to play their way to save the world. Imagine if global summits didn't start with those ruffled microphone conversations, but they actually played a robust game that helped them truly understand other delegates' point of view. Ask yourself, how playful are you? And have you ever used play as a problem solver in a serious situation? Well, why not? I recently did a research project for my master's to try and understand what sparks playfulness. And I came up with these 5 elements. These are the things that spark playfulness: curiosity, presence, bravery, flexibility, and a feeling of safety. Now, I took those 5 things and I boiled them down to 3 questions that I use in my life and my work that helps me spark a playful approach, and I'd love to leave them with you to help you spark a playful approach too. The first question is, why? This will really make you present in your problem. So, why do I have milk on my cereal? Why do I eat cereal? Why do I eat cereal in the morning? Why do I have it for breakfast? Why is it called breakfast? Anyone who's got a 6-year-old, they'll understand this. Kids are great at it, right? The second question is, why not? This will spark some curiosity, give you a flexible mindset. Well, why not have cereal for dinner? Why not eat cereal with a fork? Why not save time, put cereal in my coffee? And the final question is, what if? This will spark some bravery, but do so in a safe space. What if I put cereal in my lasagna to make it crunchy? What if I had cereal on toast? What if I added corn flour and made cereal pancakes? Approaching problems with this playful mindset will spark some remarkably new playful ways in your life and show you a new way of problem solving. It doesn't matter how serious or big or how complex the problem. I'll tell you 3 ways that we use it in our household. My son, he hates cleaning up his room. So now we have a competition. We race to see who can clean each other's room up first. And sure, yes, we might eat some more burgers than we should because the winner gets to choose what we eat for dinner. Yes, okay, but it works. My partner and I, our arguments go round in circles. So we write all of our grievances and all our feelings down, we put them in a hat and we pick them out one by one. And I hate going to the gym. So now I have come up with this imaginary world to get me working through the pain. I am not running on a treadmill, I am chasing the person who stole my handbag. And I am not lifting weights, I am lifting up a treasure chest of gold and heavily chiselled masseurs. If we can simply adapt the way that we look at playfulness in our own lives, if we can change the way we're using it in our problem solving in our day-to-day, we are one step closer to changing the way the world views it. So I would love you now, please, to put up your right hand and pledge that you will add some playfulness to your day today, no matter what that looks like. Oh, and by the way, it's International High Five Day. So you will now go out into the world. You will high five 5 people and they will high five and so on and so on. And see, you do have a glowing orb inside you that can make a difference. And if we float them all down to the river together, we can change the world one playful way at a time. Thank you.